So, Shabbat Shalom, YouTube. Sister Kate here on a beautiful Shabbat day. And I won't pretend it's morning. It's not morning. It's afternoon. However, I was woken this morning, awakened at around 7 o'clock by an earthquake. And I wish I could say it woke me up specifically. I mean, I did feel it. My memory of it is feeling our bed shaking and me thinking our dog was using her back leg to like scratch a flea somewhere. And she's, obviously got part of her on one of the bed legs, and because we sleep on a futon thing, so it's not real, heavy. And if the dog is there and she's doing that, she can shake it. But no, Pastor Joe says it's an earthquake. It's an earthquake. And so we kind of hung out there for, the 3 or 10 seconds, whatever it was that it lasted. And we weren't really that alarmed because, yes, things were moving, but to us, it was not moving a lot. I mean, in my mind, I was thinking, it's probably about a 3, But what also went through my mind was, that's kind of strange. I know this area does get quakes. There was one before we moved here, about a 3 too. And we also have been in a quake in California that was like a 3.5 or something. And I remember the house, moving pretty good. And we were living in cinder block quarters at the time. So they're, fairly solid in California. So this morning's quake did not really set off the big alarms. Like hop out of bed, throw everything on, grab the bob, etc. But it definitely woke us up. And I thought it was interesting. Let me just say that. It's a perfect, and I'm not trying to say I promote it, but I'm saying it's a perfect natural advertisement for National Preparedness Month. Is it not? I'm just saying it. We also had a hurricane strike the Hawaiian Islands. Was not as bad as they thought, didn't do as much damage, and then another hurricane that came out of the Gulf of Mexico and cut across the top of Florida and was supposed to cause flooding, or possibly, flooding and lots of damage from the winds, etc. How much more natural advertisements does anybody need to think, I ought to at least do some preparing? I mean, my husband's made this point in his videos before. I don't know if I specifically have, but FEMA says have 10 days worth of, preparedness stuff ready. And here's the other thing, or more things. Italy just had a 6.5. This quake was a 5.6 at its epicenter in Oklahoma, which, by the way, very seldom ever had earthquakes, if they did in the past. There's no fault line underneath it. There's no volcano underneath the surface. And yet lately, it's like the state that's having the most earthquakes. Not huge, lots of little ones. But when you go to the National Geological Survey website, Oklahoma's having little quakes all the time. And so I asked my husband, who is very interested in these kind of things, what's going on over there? Which quake line, which fault line is it sitting on? He said it's not. It's fracking. Since they started fracking in Oklahoma, they've been getting these quakes. I'm not going to get into, politically, fracking is not my issue. I know Matt Damon's very excited about it. There's been movies and stuff made about it. I figure if the state wants to let an oil company drill in it on its property or whatever, the state has the power to say yes or no. So what occurred to me while I was sitting there thinking about that was, if it is fracking, if I were the governor of Oklahoma, I might be picking up that phone and saying, hey guys, this is getting a little bit out of hand. This is the, according to the news reports this morning, the largest quake Oklahoma has ever had. And it's being called massive, not because it was like a 9.0, but because it covered a very large area. It was felt in Texas and all the way up to Nebraska. I think I read 750 miles, from the northernmost to the southernmost place that said they felt it. Yeah, I might be saying, hey, natural gas company or oil company, whoever is doing the fracking in that area, or mining company, okay, you've had fun here, you've made some money, you're done. Because as a governor, I don't want any more quakes in my state. That's just me. If it's not that, then what in the heck is going on that you've got a quake in a place that nobody expects one to be? That'd be kind of interesting. Something else we noticed was there was a very strange smell afterwards. And I thought, wow, it's not quite a chicken house smell. It's kind of more like a rotten something smell, and a septic, maybe a septic system. We don't have a septic system. Couldn't have been ours. Couldn't have been my toilet breaking because I don't have a toilet. And our composting bucket is what it is all the time. It's got the peat moss in it. Doesn't usually smell unless you leave the lid up, and it wasn't. And our composting bins where we dump it is, 50 feet, yards, whatever from the house, and it has mulch and stuff in it. The stuff's already composting, so there's no way. And I just thought that was sort of interesting. Also, if you don't know anything about earthquakes, or you've heard of them, but all you know is from, news reports or movies, go do a little research on your own. Earthquakes are very interesting things because, yes, the earth is shaking, but it can also shake at such a frequency to liquefy the ground, so that you get, like, the earth, what am I trying to say? Quicksandy kind of texture. It can bounce it this way. It can bounce it back and forth this way. You can get waves going through the earth this way. It can open up great big gaps, 20, 30 feet across. They are powerful things when they are on a powerful scale. And if you think about the 6.5 quake that was in Italy recently, it leveled 3 cities. Now, it may be that, Italy doesn't require the same kind of construction that America requires, and so you get a 6.5, which in America and California, they're like, oh, ho hum, wake me up when it's an 8. But it's, it's interesting. It's interesting about quakes. It's interesting about quakes happening right now. 7.1 off New Zealand. I'm not a doomsdayer kind of person. I'm just saying we've had interesting quakes, and they've done things. The San Francisco quake of like 1906, and the New Madrid had one that rung bells in Philadelphia. So and especially on a Shabbat, to be woken up on a Shabbat morning at 7, not what normally happens. Just interesting. My last thing I'd like to say, because this is true, I have been in a much larger quake. I have been in a 7.2 when I was a smaller kid, and my family and I were living in Asia. And there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between a 5.6, or what we may have felt this morning may have been, not quite as strong. That's the epicenter. Maybe what we felt was more like a 3 or 4. When it's a 7, your car is rocking. It is, physically moving inches. And the ground is physically moving inches that you can see and perceive. And buildings and things are really, I know it's silly to say, it's obvious they're moving, but, things are falling down and things are opening up in the ground and stuff. So a 5.6 is nothing to get into a panic about. It's nothing for you to stampede and, move to your grandmother's or whatever. A 7 and things like that are serious, and if one happens to you, you will know it. And the safest thing for you to do, if you can, is to get outside. To get outside and away from things that can fall on you. A house is collapsing on you, trees toppling down. Mostly it's buildings people are most worried about. You get outside. If you can't get outside, you get under some sort of structure that has some integrity to it, like doorways which have a header and stuff, are built a little bit stronger than just your straight up and down wall, or like a metal desk, or a table. Hopefully nothing's falling on the table and then on you, but just go with me here. You're looking for things that can stand and cover you in the event of something really drastic happening. And always pray. Be right with the Lord so that He can help you in your time of trouble. So I hope this has spurred some thought in you. I'd love to have comments or suggestions or experiences. If you've been in an earthquake, what you did. You can even talk about the preps you're making for earthquake or, you know, natural disasters, since it is National Prep Month. Feel free, and I'll make just a little teeny, oh, I forget what you call it, but a little foretaste. There is going to be a giveaway on my channel for Prep Month, and I will be doing a video on that very soon. Bless you. Thank you for watching. Shalom.